and I can't live an apology. Too many victims and I never heard their screams. My God has her nipples pierced. She is walking from Birmingham to Montgomery, across the Mississippi and the missions to Mazatlan, listening for the growls of panthers and gorillas, echoes of Sandinistas treading pathways through the Amazon. She is digging holes in Egypt, searching for survivors of My Lai, Nagasaki, 9/11. She wears no uniform. She holds a trumpet in one hand and a razor underneath her tongue and leads her children from hatred to home. My God is lonely. She is calling us closer, begging forgiveness for this knife of love she wields. She is with me in the shadows and in twilight. I don't believe in her, but I'm hoping she's real. So I can stop searching the sky for flags. I am asking her to open me, cut out my eyes, and plant this vision in earth that never, never, ever belonged to anyone. So I don't know if you noticed or can tell, but I don't have my poems memorized anymore. I've been doing comedy. And I'm super down to depress you guys more, but do you want to hear some jokes? Yeah. Cool, I got depressing jokes to tell too. I'm a dodecahedron, motherfucker. I'm gonna open with this one because I really want to stop telling this joke, but I don't think I'm getting paid enough to stop telling my best jokes yet, so. Apparently I think this is my signature joke. If you want an autograph later, don't bother, I'm not famous. I used to live in Oakland. Yeah, for real. They found a human head in the recycling plant 2 blocks from my house, which is fucked up, because that's compostable. I'm about to go to Vegas after this. First time I was in Vegas, I had a show, which was really cool. I was walking on the strip and I felt kind of badass because people would be like, hey, you want to go see a show? I was like, I'm in a show. They'd be like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Our economy runs on exploding strangers, but I'm so sorry. But I saw a guy in a Chewbacca costume on the strip take off his mask. Wookiee mistake. Am I supposed to do that? I tried to move to Portland. I actually got my first big break in Portland. It was my tibia. Before my show, no one told me to break a leg, but I did anyway. And then the host criticized my performance, insult to injury. Yeah, you guys, my wife is leaving me. I really love her. Like, she gets more beautiful every day. And had I known that, I would have waited to marry her. You probably want to hear another poem. I read another poem. All right. This one is called Lamb's Tongue. It's, I wrote it about free speech. But I think you guys paid to come in, so that's not really relevant. Stop it. Slit the throat of a lamb. Listen to her bleat and die. Slowly. Close fingers round her neck, round one leg, handprint healing blood laid out across an altar like a blanket. This is sacrifice. I like making people feel awkward when they're okay. Just kidding, I'm just playing. I'm a poet. Most days I know no one cares, this as it should be. Care for a dying tree, sleeping daughter, lungs heaving, weak, liver rotting. Care for yourself, as you do. Our words are not our power. 4 doves on a hill in Ohio fall before rifle fire as they cry out for peace. Praying for peace, a man stands before cameras and masses, waiting for the shard he knows will sign his name in blood on a balcony, hearing no sound but her mother's memory, a woman forces her mouth around the foreign language of her tongue. My name is Helen Keller. It is not our words that are powerful, but what we mean, how hard we mean it, whether anybody understands. Understand. Who will speak your mind when they cut your tongue? Who will speak your name? July 4th, 1776, words on paper sent across an ocean. Birth of a nation across the back of Africa. 1493, Columbus, tales of wealth in gold he's never seen. Launch an invasion. An armada of disease and greed pours a trail of tears across the Atlantic. Renaissance Italy. Galileo is jailed for speaking on the nature of the sun. Ancient Greece. Socrates drinks hemlock. Penance for an honest tongue. Somewhere in Rome. Somewhere in Europe. Fucked up my poem. After the fall of Rome, swords and horses seek throats of Arabia to satisfy bloodthirst in a Bible verse. And righteous riots burst Third Reich shop windows like shattered hopes on Kristallnacht to enact the rule of law, because y'all, those sticks and stones can break your bones, but words send soldiers to your home. Because in the wrong country, speaking the wrong thought can scar a bullet into the back of your skull. But we're protected by the words of the First Amendment and the Constitution of the United States of America. So I have the right to speak my mind right here, even though I know most days no one cares. So I wrote this poem for my mom, and I traveled around the country telling the poem, and it was kind of upsetting. And she was like, I really like that poem, and if my husband hears it, it might cause a divorce. So be careful. So I wanted to tell a new poem. History of the book in the library furnace. I want to find a new story to tell about my mother. How her song some afternoon bent the light in our living room where she curled into herself to find the warmth of someone else's thoughts. Soft covered, spine bound, and stitched tight to keep it all together and find home. In the warmth of an oven, which held the bread she baked to feed her family, which always disappointed her. Never quite came out how she intended. Cinnamon bread and gingerbread cake, banana bread, French toast. The first meal I ever, 9 a.m. Saturday, woke up to make myself and leave the kitchen how I left home. Without a thought. My mother read to me. Fed me stories, a banquet, a library. I still feel at home in libraries. I just visited the Springfield Library. That shit was crazy. I know. Humming quiet inside of me, waiting to spill. She spoke proper grammar. Good evening, my son. Now allow me to carry you to your crib so you may sleep. No baby talk. Records alphabetized: the Beatles, David Bowie, Tony Braxton, James Brown, Carol Burnett, Irene Cara, The Carpenters, Cat Stevens, Tracy Chapman, Chicago, Eric Clapton, Bill Cosby, Crosby, Stills, Nash, Young, Mark Cohen, John Denver, and Derek, and the Dominoes, Dreamgirls, Bob Dylan, dozens, hundreds of 33s and 45s. My mother never Sam cooked soul food. I drank soul through stereo speakers, warm as a stove, crackling needles, scratching wax. How my voice cracked when I told her I loved her, when I held her when her father died, and she sobbed like I sobbed against the mirror on the wood floor of my empty bedroom that night. We left the house on Milton Street with some pit bull tore into my dog till all life was torn out of her, because leaving home is hard. My mother knew. Everything dies. Life is hard. Sometimes too long, always too short, and never fair. But this, my body, is mine, and I don't want to leave it here. I don't want to be a corpse in the dirt, an empty body like every body. Another dead tongue is still heart. I want to be a language, spoken on the lips of anyone who remembers me in this moment. I want to be a record. I want to be a record. I want to be a record, turning out stories in my blood, fam, so when I cut this new track, mark a needle in me and spill out the soul food song of the woman who lent me her voice. This is another poem I kind of feel strange about telling, but I'm gonna just say it to you guys because you listen so fucking hard. For the boy in New York who accidentally burned down his house with his mother inside. He was playing with fire, got out of hand onto the floor, climbed the walls, carnivorous embers stole his sleeping mother, and the boy went to jail for manslaughter. Fast forward. How hard is the cot in your cell? Memory of her lullaby easing a boy back into dream. Did they ask you to identify the body? How arrogant to believe our cruelty begins to mimic the penance you called down on your own head. All the choirs of Sinai cannot soothe this nightmare. Or quiet Lucifer's laughter echoed in your chamber. Dark of December, do you shiver and sweat, tongue of flame crawling up your conscience? Did you take up smoking, twitching fingers, jumping its spark and sulfur? I'm sorry. Oh. How many days have you searched the night for her face, scratched silent apology on the concrete and chalk and broken fingernail walls, slick of your sorrow, smoke tumbles from your nose, fumes drip down your cheek? Are you a dragon? A phoenix? Have you learned to control your flame? Nights find you memorizing recipes, wishing her meatloaf on your tongue, sniffing a fresh baked dessert like cocaine, flesh puncture pain of your only heroine. Your mother loves you. Your mother loves you. Your mother loves you. She sees the teeth and blood of your pillow, strips your bed, washes the sheets after midnight when you piss in fear of yourself. You are only a boy. Will always be a boy without his mother, but your mother loves you, and I'm sorry. Mom, I'm sorry. Boy, I am sorry we lack imagination. Could not read the anguish carved in the sullen forehead, wrinkled as a scroll foretelling the horrors of history. I am sorry. The smug judge and his old beard could not hear all of Elysium imploring his mercy. The fallen warriors of Arlington, the starving unborn, the world's wounded, calling down, he has suffered. Enough. I don't know much, but I believe in mercy. I know no God but a God who digs in the ground with his hands to bury this hatred, find space somewhere in the earth, room enough to hold your loss. I am sorry for every afternoon I stood in my parents' kitchen, hunched over the sink, lighting matches to remember the sound of sulfur and the ache of flame. And I will build you a fire. We are building a fire, hot enough to scorch the loathing from your tongue and bring you rest. I want to spit a hip-hop verse because I'm a rapist. I may forget it. That might happen. A lot of stuff happened. Crowds I drew like Barrymore, breaking barriers. Niggas thinking they scarier, barely were, buried worth. Imitating imagination, slew the sensuar. Journey to the center a half a century, tear the world, terror alert, they failing ya. Daily error, sharing the word, rare enough, send them off, motherfuckers gripping their balls and they cough. I caught them well, they forgot character, art of hell, till I can't hardly care no more. No half measures, lounge in the bath, treasure around and I laugh, never, and the calf melted it down in the laugh. Another round for the underground, left them in the wonder now. Money growers plunder asunder until the thunder sound, fuck 'em chow. They dog meat, kill any crowd within reason. They prefer that nonsense, hunting is still in season, killing, dreaming, and putting in work. Consider them million heathens as my children first. Tilling the earth like a farmer mining ore, the trauma. They making dioramas of drama, banish them off, and I vanish like I'm a goner. What's up with the time? I don't know.